what's the worst thing that you've ever had to design around, like that someone couldn't get rid of? Lazy, I mean, I don't know.
Oh, yeah,
there's got to be some hideous, really horrible, hideous thing you had to design around. What would be the worst?
There's always that chair that somebody's husband loves because they think it's like form-fitted to their whole body, and I try to give that chair its own room. I usually... I was laughing because I was on the airplane, and there was a whole design show, maybe it was on the House and Garden Network or something, talking about the new concept of the man room. And really, I was like, God, I've been doing man rooms forever, because really, it's the room I want to warehouse all the ugly stuff. And, you know, as long as you give it some importance, and it actually does end up being a place that guys love. There are a few man rooms in my book where we really did, you know, women want the windows, they want the pretty room, they want the light, and the men are often just trying to get away. It sounds such a terrible cliche. But really, they're like, give me a place where no one can get to me, where nobody's going to tell me I need to do something, and I can have all my toys, be it AV equipment, or my collections of things. We've had, you know, wine collections, or people's sports memorabilia, and it's sad that it's always a cliche, men. You've got to come up with something new. But we call that the man room, and we put it all in one place, and then the rest of the house gets to be pretty.
Now, how much of what you do is new construction versus existing homes coming in and redecorating? What would you say would be the division between the amount of work that you do in each?
I think it's about 50-50. I prefer to do the old houses because that allows me to do the part that I actually love. You know, if you let me choose your fabrics and your wallpaper and be there the day the wallpaper goes up, that's really all I want to do. That's where the gratification comes in. It's the grueling process of figuring out where the light switches go, and how you're going to hide your AC ducting, and all the compromises of structural necessity that are brutal, but that's also half my job. And with the new construction, my biggest sore spot, and this bathroom represents it, and I think as designers in Las Vegas, you must confront this a lot, is the sort of McMansion phenomenon, where you have these huge spaces, but somehow in the process of making them big and more ornate, they've lost integrity, and you have miles of drywall and too much molding, and you're never really going to make it feel like somebody's home. It'll always feel a little hotel-y or a little commercial because everything is too new. And that's where I have to kind of go back to my tricks of the trade and say, what materials do I have to create aura and warmth and movement in a room, so it's not so boxy? Because, you know, these big boxy, the contractor and architect called it a vaulted ceiling, but when I first walked in, it was a bunch of angled drywall. So, you know, we decided to emphasize the sort of destination of the ceiling by putting a piece of antique mirror in and finding. Now, I was desperate for anything old. Just get me something a little bit grungy, a little bit legitimate, break up the monotony of the new. So we went all out on an old chandelier we found at auction, and I took a floral wallpaper, a very obviously hand-painted sort of block print wallpaper, something where you feel that the texture of the paper and the paint instead of something vinyl-y or synthetic, because the space needed that natural hand. And we papered all the way up past the molding, again up the tray, just to bring the eye the whole way up, to break up the angles. So that was, you know, looking to the less significant materials to overpower the construction materials.
Now, how much of what you install is new versus old? I know you mentioned you buy some things at auction, you refurbish some other things, but how much do you source new, and what's your percentage?
Well, with, you know, fabrics and rugs are probably, for me, 99% new, unless I'm buying an antique rug, which they can be so expensive. It's a particular client that wants the old textiles. The furniture I really try to mix. And depending on the budgets, and I have very, very high-end clients, and clients where it feels like a lot of money, but the minute you spread it out over the 3 children's bedroom, the dining room, the living room, the kitchen, suddenly you're pinching pennies to try to make the house coherent and finished, and it's never enough. So in those instances, I use different, like, if they can't afford antique furniture, I will look for old lighting, something that shows. Every house has to have in every room several pieces.
1 or 2 pieces.
That just have the quirk, the funk, the offbeat scale, the different timeline, because a room that is fabricated within the same year on everything, you can smell it, you feel it. It's not home, it's a place. So I like to keep at least 20% of a space being old, and you can do it with old books. There are all kinds of different elements you can use at different price points, but I think it's very important. And I think now, as everybody is getting afraid of the economy, there's much more circulating in the marketplace. And I think that it's a lot easier to help people repurpose some of their old stuff, shop on First Dibs, eBay, Craigslist, whatever it is. And some of the best things you find will be there, but then you have to look to the design center because it's impossible to work without the new resources. Once you find your fun old things, then you have to find exactly the thing that fits between them. And unless you're the luckiest person in the world, you have to start ordering that stuff in the beginning, and that's the process of forethought and knowing who can manufacture it and where you're going to find these pieces. And thank God for the design centers, because that's usually what the client will fixate on, is what they have to order in the beginning. So you can go and lay out your room in advance, walking the design centers and finding the new pieces and fill in the holes, because when you're buying something old, it is instant gratification. You can walk out of the store or have it UPS'd and put it right in. So I don't even know if I answered your question
You
anymore.
did.
Okay, sorry. Thank you.
You did.
Phew.